Every moment that you are interacting with a human being, it's a moment of truth. Every time you interact, you engage, you're either a hero or a zero. And I'm sorry to say it's just that black and white.
Welcome to the /podcast, where we lean into the future of IT by inviting fellow thought leaders, innovators, and problem solvers to slash through its complexity. I'm your host, James Carman, and today we're talking to Nora Osman. Welcome to the show, Nora.
Thank you for having me.
Nora is a transformational leader, coach, keynote speaker, and fellow at the Institute for Digital Transformation. As founder and CEO of Norvana, she helps organizations reimagine customer and employee experiences through a human-centered, service-driven approach. With over 25 years leading major IT and service transformations, she focuses on aligning people, process, and technology to create simple, powerful experiences. Nora's work spans healthcare, technology, and enterprise organizations, and she was recently named one of CIO Global's Women Leaders to Watch in 2025. Also, last time we spoke, we were at a conference together. You did mention that you're also not just this CIO Women Leaders to Watch kind of thing. You're an aspiring cat lady. That's what I remember, that you've had some new additions to your home. How's that going?
Well, I had two cats,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of them was a bit lonely. The older one is quite older. So I said, let's get one little kitten to add to the litter. And I ended up with two. So I now have 4 cats. They're all orange tabbies, and 3 of them are males. So if you know anything about orange tabbies, male, they're a bit crazy. And that's an understatement. So yeah, I got cats bouncing off the walls, climbing the curtains, jumping everywhere, coming out of every little corner in the house. It's quite the zoo/circus in my house these days.
I did not realize I didn't know the orange cat thing was a thing. We were on a call the other day and somebody from work was like, oh yeah, I watched those orange cat videos. And then of course somebody mentioned it. So somebody was listening. So in my YouTube feed, I started getting these orange. They can be quite a handful. Those orange cats.
Without a doubt. This is not just once in a while. This is every day, all the time. Yeah. They are just a different breed, but they're so loving and they're so fun, but really quirky. And I guess, matches our personality in the house. Everybody is thrilled except my husband, who thinks we're all crazy. And he's probably going to move out soon.
But you have 4 cats. You know what I mean? If he moves out, you got 4 cats.
I have 4 cats. I have 4 kids. I've got, a fork in me at this point.
Well put. I like that. So one of the things, we were walking to get Graders together. We had a great conversation in Cincinnati. Graders ice cream is our local favorite here. And you mentioned, you talked a lot about human experience, and I loved hearing about that. But you have kind of this simplicity take, kind of an Occam's razor view of the world. And I love that. I love simplicity in software and everything. So I really wanted the audience to hear from you. Why is simplicity such a powerful foundation for transformation?
Well, we're just overwhelmed as a human being tribe at this point, I would say. There's just so much going on, and it's so easy to get lost with everything that's changing regularly. And so in our zealousness to deliver more services, we're confusing everybody and creating stress. If you ever hear about decluttering as a thing now, there's a reason why people are decluttering their homes, trying to pare things down, simplify their wardrobes, because it's easier to get through the day. You have a lot less stress. And the same goes with our approach to everything when it comes to technology and service. My thing is simplicity as the cornerstone to everything we do. It really sets the stage for the rest of the formula. I call it the recipe to the smile. It's simple, solid, and scalable. I haven't heard of an organization that isn't trying to grow or trying to remain very relevant and have a very high degree of performance. That's the solid piece. But it starts with being simple. And to add to that, I talk a lot about the hero-zero pendulum, 0 to hero. You see it in the background here for those who can't see. I've got my logo and my tagline, and it's really based on this. Every moment that you are interacting with a human being, it's a moment of truth. Every time you interact, you engage, you're either a hero or a zero. And I'm sorry to say it's just that black and white.
Mhm.
And you could swing from one to the other very quickly. So my focus with my organization, what I do with Norvana is to simplify things, to distill those hero moments, to allow organizations and individuals to really rise to the top, eliminate all of the noise, the clutter, the confusion, and build a very, very customer centric, human centric experience.
So you do write a lot about the zero to hero thing. I did see that in your writings, on your articles, on your website. Um, in the context of organizational transformation, kind of explain what does that look like for organizations to transform from that zero to hero mentality?
Well, it's honing in on the things that matter. There's something called the laws of subtraction. If you've ever heard of the laws of subtraction, it's basically eliminating all of the things that really are not adding value to get to the things that are most valuable. There's a reason why Apple phones, iPhones, were a big hit, despite not having all the buttons that you would have normally looked for. It's because it looked for only what's really necessary and made it so intuitive that you don't need a guide. You don't need to be a genius. It just works. You figure it out. And so I'm a big believer that the humankind needs the same thing. They need the kind of simple design, eliminating the jargon, eliminating the noise, the redundancy, so they could get to the things that are most important. So let's talk about the people. Do you have the right roles? Do you have the right mindset? Do you have the right heartfelt sentiment towards your service delivery strategy? That's the people aspect, right? So it's training people to be that way and to really focus on what matters and not about the noise. Do you have the right processes? That's the next piece. Is it so simple and intuitive that you can get from A to Z without having to, put needles in your eyes every time? Because nobody wants to do that,
Right.
right? And it's got to be reliable and repeatable. And then technology is really the icing on the cake. Yes, we need technology, but we don't need it to be all about technology. So I look at, how does technology enhance? How does it elevate? How does it simplify and create the repeatability and the reliability of the experience? It is truly an enabler. If we put those three things into the formula, then you're making adjustments along the way to roadmap to that customer experience excellence, the human experience, the HX excellence. And that is the North Star. If organizations realize that that's how they get more business and more profit and disrupt, then they are golden. When they don't realize that, they overcomplicate things, they underdeliver the services that matter, and they just create churn and pain and confusion, and it leads to their demise ultimately.
You mentioned the law of subtraction. I think there, like, made me think of the book. Was it? I think it's Mark Manson. Is this the guy's name? He wrote it. It's called, and I can't say the actual title on air because we're a family show, but it's called "The Subtle Art of Not Giving a." Yeah,
Yep,
a
I've
hoot,
heard that
a hoot,
book.
so to speak, or something like that. But it
Yes,
was interesting because people read that and they think it's just like, oh, that's just a guide to be a slacker or, not care about anything. But that's not what he means. He means the art of, like, choosing the right things to care and to give a hoot about. That's what he's after in that book. It
that's
was a great
exactly
book.
right.
Yeah, it was a great book.
Actually, Greg McEwen, I don't know if you've heard of him. He has a podcast as well. He is the author of Essentialism. It's
Mm,
the same concept. It's around saying no to all the things that don't matter so you could say yes to the things that are most important.
yeah,
The
I
laws of
like that.
subtraction, I remember hearing about this from a motivational speaker, probably the author of that book, maybe 15, 20 years ago. It was the concept of a diamond. Before it's a diamond, what is it? It's a rock that has a lot of imperfections, does not reflect light the right way, and it doesn't look right and it doesn't look valuable until you start chiseling away at it to get it to its finest four C's,
Hmm.
right? I don't even remember all of them. Cut,
Cut,
clarity,
clarity,
carrot,
that's,
something like that. Anyway, I know I'm missing one.
I know.
But the bottom line, it's only when you eliminate all the things that don't matter do you get to the highest value. and you really can achieve the best potential.
Color, I believe, is the fourth C.
All right, there
Color,
you go.
color.
I got you thinking about this. You were fixated
It's
about
been
that.
a while. I haven't had to buy a diamond
Same
ring in a
here.
long time. Yeah, so I've been
I'm so glad I'm past
settled.
that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So another thing that really resonated with me as we were walking and talking with
Here I was thinking you were just anticipating what flavor you were going to get when you got there. No?
I actually do listen. I don't act like it, but I I do listen. But the whole
Okay.
that you said the red carpet in, red carpet out, and I just love that concept. Explain that for us, would you?
Okay, that's actually a really easy thing to explain. Your customers come in two flavors: your internal customers, your employees, and your external customers who you produce services and products for. You have to think about your first customer, your employee, and roll out the red carpet for them, in and out. So they should always feel special. They should always feel like they are valuable. That's what earns the trust, the way you treat them. That is what they embrace. And then they become catalysts for that outstanding, excellent customer experience for your ultimate customers. So a lot of people think about just the onboarding aspect. How do we impress them when they come in? Do we give them free lunches, the tour of the place, some
Swag, all that. Yeah,
tchotchke
yeah,
swag,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's all good until your account provisioning aspect is terrible, and then they
Yeah.
have no idea where they're supposed to go, and they're chasing their tail, trying to get productive within the first month, and all of a sudden it's lipstick on a pig, right? But yeah, well, it only looks great on Miss Piggy. Everybody else, it doesn't look so great on. But when you think about it, if you nail that new hire experience, all they're saying to everybody around them is, oh my God, this is the best thing that ever
Uh,
happened. They're marketing your company. They remember those first days. They treasure that experience forever. And then it's upward and onward from there. It's very hard to dislodge that. So that's one thing. But when they're leaving, there's a reason. They're leaving because maybe they're relocating, maybe because they got offered a gazillion dollars and they can't say no, or there's a life experience that is disrupting them. We're human beings. You thank them for their service. You treat them with dignity.
uh,
You celebrate their successes, and you don't make it about, going from a hero to a zero and persona non grata just because they're leaving and moving on, because that spells doom and gloom everybody else. They realize, okay, I'm only good if I'm producing. The minute I have other ambitions, I'm going to be treated terribly. What makes them decide that they have to give you 2 weeks notice? What makes them not sabotage or undermine you as they're
uh,
leaving, or badmouth you, which is worse, because then you know what? They tell all these other prospects, don't even think about it. And now you've got the, what is it called?
glass
It's
glass door, I
glass
think.
door.
Yeah.
Yes. The glass door reviews. Well, that also affects you, right? So you don't
Hmm.
really know. We're in an experience world now. Everything is being talked about. Everything is visible. So it's so important that you're doing the red carpet in and out. And I'm not going to claim the credit for this. This was somebody I met at a conference, an HR VP, who coined it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to borrow that or steal it, whatever you want to call it, and share it because it is very, very noteworthy.
Yeah, I love it. I think, and again, I'm going to steal it from you, who stole it from someone else, because I think the
Rebecca
way
Rorick is the
I
person we should give credit to.
what was her
Rebecca
name again?
Rorick.
Okay.
Rebecca Rorick.
Rebecca
So,
Rorick. Okay.
yes.
Well, I will give credit. So I think the way I teed this up and how this came up in our conversation was because I say, we want as our consultants, we want to treat our consultants here at Clarity the way we want them to treat our clients. And that's my ham-handed way of explaining it, I guess. But I love that your view, and it's much more in depth. And then it also kind of reminds me of another thing you brought up, and it's around, because that sounds like the golden rule, right? That treat others as they want to be, as you want them to be. Oh, sorry. Treat others as you
As
want to be treated. But you have a
correct.
different take on that, don't you?
I do, because I hate the golden rule. I
Uh-huh.
think the golden rule is one of those principles or rules that really needs to be completely reevaluated. I believe in the platinum rule. The platinum rule is treat people as they want to be treated. See, the problem with the golden rule is the assumption that everybody's like you, everybody's like me. Absolutely not. We live in a very diverse world. Sure, we're human beings. We came into the world the same way for the most part. We have the same body parts, but we are so diverse, so very different. And so the platinum role takes that into consideration, and it honors our differences, and it takes us to that level where we recognize them and we pay homage to the differences, and we make the extra effort to meet people where they are and to value that diversity. So I think that the platinum role is not really known very well. And everywhere I can introduce it and I speak about it, I try to remind people to pay attention, do the extra work of getting to know people. And here now with technology and I think it's finally getting there where it's possible to amass as much information and to start to create a customer experience that is very unique to every individual. If organizations pay attention to that as a need and a desired state. But if they're trying to do this one size fits all cookie cutter, all right, we'll give them 3 options. That's the best we could do. You leave a lot of good stuff on the table there that is not being paid attention to.
So you mentioned earlier, and you just brought it up again. So the human experience has that North Star. So there's human experience, there's customer experience, there's employee experience. Tell me, how do all these things relate, and how do they guide one another?
Well, EX plus CX equal TX is what Gartner came up with a few years ago at Symposium. So I like the idea of, okay, the total experiences, you add those two. But what if you're not the employee and you're not a customer? What if you're an influencer? What if you are somebody who rates experiences? What if you're a broadcaster, a podcaster, whatever? Everybody has an aspect of transformation and transaction in this equation. And the thing that binds us is we're all human. So taking the human experience into consideration, that's really the top level. And then you've got the employees, like your first customers, and then the customers, your ultimate customers. So if you think about it, it's kind of like a pyramid. I just made a pyramid, right? On the bottom left is your employees. On the bottom right is your customers. At the top, everything ties to the HX, the human experience. And then in the middle, all these other personas.
We're going to have to adapt it when AI takes over the world, and we'll have to optimize for an AI's experience, or do they
AX,
not care?
God help us. If they start to become, that fourth element that we have to worry about, and they start to have feelings and they wants and likes, then, we're in trouble.
Yeah, we're going to be in trouble for sure. And you
Well,
mentioned,
they've had movies about this for as long
oh yeah,
as we can remember, right? I mean, this they're taking over and they are done with us, and we're basically being punished for all of our sins.
but eventually we fell in love with Arnold as the Terminator. He was like the dad figure, and it was so we did care about him
Yeah,
eventually.
but didn't he become a little bit more human towards the end too?
Yeah, yeah. Until he
Yeah,
went into the
yeah,
molten, metal or whatever and held his thumb up. Anyway, it was
I
sad. I want to
know,
cry. Yeah.
I know.
All right. So you did mention, speaking of reaching people's hearts, um, you mentioned in one of our conversations that, leaders, in order to be a true leader, you need to reach people's hearts, not just their heads. Tell me about that. Tell me how does one go about doing that? That's part of the human experience, I would imagine.
Yeah, and it's also related to the 3 L's, the look, listen, and learn. I think that's the easiest way to adopt that. We have these 5 senses for a reason, and you have to use all your senses, really. But more importantly, you're seeing people all the way and you're hearing them all the way in order to learn as much as you can about them. Do you remember the movie See No Evil, Hear No Evil? Or is it Hear No Evil, See No Evil? Do you remember that movie? Richard Pryor?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Gene
Oh
Wilder,
my
Richard
God.
Pryor. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hysterical movie. I've made my kids watch that a couple times. I'm the one who's on the floor laughing. They think it's amusing, but it's a generational thing. But if you think about it, between the two of them, one was deaf, one was blind.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two of them, they were able to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Very, very funny movie. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's a classic. We've got more than that. We've got the sense of touch. We've got the sense of smell. We've got the sense of heart. That's probably the 6th sense. And I think empathy, compassion is the way to people's hearts more than their minds. And I feel that what has had to shift is the way we lead people. In the past, it was very linear. It was command and control. I'm the boss. You're the subordinate. I give you orders. You follow them. You get a paycheck. That's it. I'm not interested in your opinion unless I ask for it. That doesn't work anymore, especially with this new generation called Gen Z,
Hmm.
right? The end. What's transpired now is a more trust and inspire world. And I'll give credit to Stephen M.R. Covey,
Hmm.
the son of Stephen Covey, who wrote this book. He started with a book called The Speed of Trust. And
Fantastic
then
book.
he had this book. I don't know if there were others in between, but I think this is the one I knew about. And I met him in person, and his stories were so compelling. And it's about embracing the whole experience with the people. You have to build trust first. And then once you have trust, you can inspire. And so what does trust require? It requires authenticity, vulnerability, compassion, presence. It's all these things, and consistency.
Mm.
I'm sure there are lots of other versions of this. This is my simplest view of trust. You have to have all those things consistently being produced in order to gain trust. And once you build it, it's gold.
Hmm.
So you have to start looking at the things that matter. And now more than ever, people want to be seen fully, heard fully. I'm not going to say touched fully because that could get us in trouble, but virtually touched,
Yes.
right? And I'm talking about emotionally touched,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
sometimes it is physical touch. It's the handshake. It's the arm on the shoulder. It's the helping people up when they're falling.
Hmm.
It's being there for them. And so I think that aspect of humanity is more necessary now than ever, especially after COVID, especially after we went into this hybrid/remote world where people are fading into the background and starting to feel the wear and tear of being so isolated.
Well, why do you think you mentioned that kind of that command and control, and it has kind of been the style of management that or leadership, I would say, that everybody kind of says this is what you need to do to be a good leader. That had been the old adage, and that's how everybody thought. Why do so many leaders start out like that? Why do they start out as kind of a bad manager?
Maybe that's what was modeled for them.
Hmm.
I see it more in the older leadership bracket. How do I say this diplomatically? Certain generations that shall remain nameless that are retiring soon. It's because what was modeled for them. It was what was shown, and it's a cultural thing. And my best definition of culture is it's the behavior that leaders either display or tolerate.
Mm.
So if it was displayed or it was tolerated, that became the norm, the way we do things. And unless somebody starts to see that this is really not working and they start to get trained and mentored differently, why would they change it? It's just how it was done. Now you're starting to see different leadership styles evolve, and we are following other influencers, thought leaders that explain the why.
Mm.
Simon Sinek, one of
Yeah.
the best leaders to listen to, who explains the need to share the why, because that is the heart of getting people's trust and heart and their loyalty, right? And
Hmm.
their cooperation and motivation.
Do you think, like, I know, like, the command and control stuff, I guess we kind of transitioned, like, after the Industrial Revolution, we kind of needed people that just built things, right? Go hammer on that thing, go turn that screw, like, do what I tell you to do. So that notion, maybe it was important back then, or that's what we thought was going to get the outcomes that we were looking for. Do you feel like that was, we've evolved, or was that appropriate at the time, and that was the right way to do it? Or do you feel like if they had come to this realization now, where we kind of lead the whole person and not just the screw turner and the nail hammerer?
No, that's a really good question. And it makes me think it probably was necessary back then. It was a sign of the times. Now think about this. If you are in an emergency, you need somebody to
Hmm.
give you marching orders. This is not time to have a diplomatic discussion and let's take a vote. And how do you feel about that? When you're in certain difficult, extenuous circumstances, emergencies, you have to just go into somebody involved as a leader is giving the orders. People trust them and follow them.
Hmm.
But that can't be every day. When you think about firefighters trying to put out a fire, they know what they need to do. And somebody is going to make a call because they're in a position of visibility of something. It might not be the most senior person, but there's a level of trust that's evolved. And so people naturally go with that. But you can't be just sitting there screaming or yelling all the time and expect that people are going to follow you.
Yeah, I think we talked about Marquette's book, Turn the Ship Around, when we were discussing this before. And
Mhm.
if you haven't read that book, that one's a fantastic one. It talks about it. He's in the military, commander of a submarine, I believe. Wasn't he on a sub? Something like that, something in the Navy. But it was all about it. It isn't always, as you said, just do as I say. You would ask for input and how to think through situations, and not just
Mhm.
one person barking orders at everybody. So it was kind of a unique thing for him in the military. It was kind of a new, novel idea as he grew up in the military and the Navy. So it's a fantastic book.
Great recommendation. I got to add that to my holiday list.
But yeah,
I'm a little
was it
behind on some of the reading.
David Marquette? Isn't that right? Yeah, I think it's Marquette. Um, You shared with us a personal story the other day when we were on our prep call for this recording, and I thought it was a great example of that kind of that human experience. You had the opportunity to visit with a surgeon with a family member. You would mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, I think this is going on about a month ago. Without talking about what specific ailment my dad had, we need to see a specialist. He'd had a CAT scan. There was a lot of detail that the doctor could see off of the results from the CAT scan. The problem became how much time to actually talk through it. What blew me away is this is a doctor from the NYU health system, pretty pretty big health system in New York, one of the top 5. He came in with notes on a piece of paper of the things he had seen in the chart, the questions he wanted to make sure he asked. He read through every component of my chart that he could get access to. And he was thrilled that we came in with the actual CD because that had not been uploaded. But what really almost brought me to tears is the amount of time and care that this one physician took, this provider. He spent 45 minutes with us, and that's unheard of pretty much these days with any doctor, let alone a physician.
No
Usually
kidding.
they've got somebody who's coming in, doing the intake, trying to ask all the questions, upload everything. He was not worried about a next appointment. He was not worried about details or recording things. He did actually do a great job of summarizing everything in my chart, but he focused on asking all the questions, making sure he had the full lay of the land, and even though he was a very passionate cowboy-like personality, I was not prepared for that. He really, really disarmed my dad. And my dad is progressing through some stages of some diseases now, unfortunately, that make it very difficult for him to understand what's going on and why this is important and how we're going to proceed. So I thought it was just a phenomenal experience. It's very unique. It's very unlikely to have that all the time, but kudos to this physician. He really was top notch and very impressed.
Well, and it's an experience that you had with this physician that you're talking about a month later. So obviously he was caring about that human experience and thinking about others, and not just how many patients can I stack up and get through in an hour, right? That's probably one of their metrics that they look at in some of these hospitals, I'm
For
sure.
sure. And in the same health system, I had gone in for a torn meniscus. At the time, I didn't know it was a torn meniscus. I should have pain in my left knee. And a doctor who didn't even shake hands, who came in after a PA had spent all the time. She's the one who asked all the questions. She's the one who put all the notes in. He barely made eye contact with me. And the first thing he recommended was surgery. So
Oof.
ask me on a date first. I mean, really? You want to come in and cut and put me under and all that without at least having some trust being built? Absolutely not. That was not going to fly. So yeah, we never had the surgery and I did my due diligence and opted out. But the bottom line is it's a mixed bag out there. Unfortunately, the minority are the ones who take the time to establish the rapport and truly get into your world and ask the deep seated questions. And I hope that changes. I hope that technology will help them come out of that fog of activity, whittle it down to where they can be more present and their value proposition is higher in that way.
Yeah, and the second guy you talked about with your knee, that's the kind of doctors and that's the kind of system that makes us have to have the rules of like where you go in to have that knee operation and 10 different people. So what are we operating on today? Like you have to confirm it because,
Nonsense.
they couldn't take 5 minutes to shake your
Yeah.
hand, make eye contact on this, maybe know, oh yeah, it's their left knee, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Hopefully they're not operating on the wrong knee, but that's happened.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Amputations, the
That's
wrong toes or foot or whatever.
that's why they
Yeah.
have to, draw on the leg and ask the question 20 times. Yeah, it's
Getting
wild.
back to the basics, right? It's doing things like time out. The things that are successful are the simple things, if you notice. They didn't do some crazy formula to validate. They said, how about we just have you? Oh, I'm going to have to tell you this funny story. Have you write your initials and put a circle around that on the body part. Now, except this is when I knew that I was not destined to be a doctor, except if your initials are no. Guess what my initials are? My initials are no. So obviously I cannot draw anything on anybody's body part around amputation or treatment because that would confuse people. They wouldn't automatically know it's the doctor's initials.
So if you
And
put
then
your
they might
initials
go
on
and do the
there,
other thing.
yeah, they might do
You
the other
have to do
knee.
like, I don't know if the rule about no, if you end up having to do like your 3 letters of your initials or what, but it just can't be NO because it confuses confuses everybody.
It's so fun. You reminded me, I was working at a hospital. They're into this thing, right? They're into this. I was working at a hospital, actually at a research foundation for a hospital. And I'm walking through one day and there's a lot of construction going on. And they wrote in big letters on this wall, keep this wall. And I was thinking to myself, why wouldn't you write on the walls you want to get rid of? That just seems like you got extra work now that you have to cover up all that big, keep this wall. Now I got to cover that up. That just
Uh,
seems silly.
no, they figured there are too many walls that are coming down rather than write on all of them, just write on the one that they're probably going to paint it anyway or whatever
Yeah,
they're going
that's
to do.
fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I did read some articles on your website. Love you're a prolific writer. You have a great way of writing. You are, from what I remember, you said that you're assembling some of these ideas together into a book coming up here soon. Is that right?
You're going to be the first to actually tease this out of me. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I got to start marketing it. It is something I've been working on for some time. Yeah, so the story is this. I've been telling my story and focusing on these pivotal moments, the hero moments, the zero moments, the opportunities to do better for a while now. And it's manifested in small articles. I write for LinkedIn. I write for the Institute for Digital Transformation for certain publications. And as I've been writing these, people have been asking me, so when's the book coming out? And I had no excuse after a while. If I've had all these things written, all these pieces of it written, why not start to strategize on writing the whole book? So this is where I started to get a little bit nervous because I think that it's important to tell the stories that led you to the lessons, that lead
Hmm.
you to the guidance that you want to give, right? But I didn't want it to be completely an autobiography. I wanted it to be a book that's useful. And I didn't want it to be academic to where, okay, it only cures insomnia. They don't get past the first chapter. So I blended the styles of autobiography and leadership, lesson writing into this one book. And it is something I'm very proud of and something I'm excited to release, hopefully in the first quarter of 2026. And it starts with Zero to Hero.
Mm.
So that's the top part of the book. And it is, let me make sure I remember it because I had to rewrite the title a couple times. It is leadership. Oh, human experience in leadership and business transformation. I know it started with human experience. Human experience in leadership and business transformation. So that's the full title. And it is to help the reader get through the journey of progressing their own leadership style and learning that the human interaction, the moments of truth that they have every day are within their reach. They can turn them into hero moments instead of zero moments. But you can swing back and forth all the time. And so I have a newsletter that I started over a year ago.
Mhm.
It's called 2 Cent Tuesdays. You're probably getting it, I
I am.
hope.
I am.
And I tell a lot of these mini stories. People ask me, how do you have the time to write these newsletters? My challenge is figuring out which of the many things every week that I encounter that are newsworthy that I should put at the top or should be an inspiration corner. But there's so much going on. And a lot of my own personal experiences, I'm the zero. I'm rarely the hero, but I have a lot of zero moments that I want to avoid in the future. So I write those in a bit of a should have done better kind of thing. Like, what the hell was I thinking?
Uh-huh.
Because we all have to become more vulnerable and open around sharing. And that's how we learn from each other. And that's how we can grow together.
Zero moments those are the lessons, right? Like when we look at it
Yeah,
and we evaluate and say we can do better. Yeah,
for sure. For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the book. As I said, I can't wait to read it. I'll be buying it when it comes out. Hopefully, your newsletter will inform me when it's available, or I'll be looking for it for sure.
Well, the fun part is we finally designed the book cover, which I
Mm.
did not know. I'm on this journey now, figuring out the whole publishing aspect. This will be my second book with my name in writing, but the other one was more an idle book. It's more academic. But oh my God, they start with the outside. I thought it was you start with the inside. Well, of course, you have to write the book first, but the focus is first on the outside of the book because I guess eye appeal is by appeal.
Mm.
It's all about the marketing, how it appeals to you, how it calls you. I did not know that. Apparently, it's a myth. People do judge a book by its covers. Don't judge a book. Well, oh yeah, no,
That's
that's
funny.
throw that out.
I love that.
Absolutely judge the book by its covers. It's all about that.
Wow, I didn't know that either. That's hilarious. It's so
Well,
funny. We
I'm
say that
learning.
all the time.
Definitely gonna be writing all about the whole publishing journey because that is something I did not expect to be on.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So at this time, it is time for us to transition to our next phase of the show, which is called Ship It or Skip It.
Ship or skip, everybody we gotta tell us if you ship or skip.
Okay. First up, psychological safety as a core KPI for organizations. What do you think? Is that a ship it or is that a skip it?
For sure, without a doubt. If we're talking about trust building, you want loyalty, you want motivation, how are you going to do that without a culture of psychological safety? So this is one of the core areas that is talked about but overlooked from a KPI perspective. And somehow it needs to start to be measured. And perhaps it's not one metric alone that measures it. It might be a combination of things. And I've yet to see somebody that develops a scorecard that evolves that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think I used to have a balanced scorecard approach in one of my organizations, and it took certain key elements into the equation because it was important. One of them is attendance. So absenteeism, obviously, the more people are absent, the more people are late, the more people are not raising their hands. There are a lot of things that factor into that. How willing are they to ask you questions, share real concerns? There's a ton around psychological safety, and the leaders that get that as a core area to focus on to build the trust are the ones who win. Those who don't, there's a whole section on this in my book. It's not called psychological safety, but I do have a couple chapters, a section in the book about leadership and the leadership journey. And I share some of the hero moments and the zero moments with leaders. But absolutely, the heroes are the ones who put their heart out. They're the ones who created a warm and fuzzy environment for their people to bring their whole selves to the table. They're the ones who recognized strengths, didn't focus on the weaknesses. They're the ones who evolved friendship and brotherhood and humankind as a focus. And the ones who didn't, they nurtured fear, they nurtured closed-mindedness, they nurtured self-preservation, competition, destructive competition. They became frenemies, not friends. They blended friends and enemies and
Mm-hmm.
frenemies. It's
Mm-hmm.
a facade. And so those are the ones who got the least from the people and had to chase productivity and profit and rewards that much harder. It's like walking up a down escalator when you don't have psychological safety.
Yeah, you're a ship it on a psychological safety, and I'd have to agree. I think that's got to be a core KPI. My concern would be, as you pointed out, how do you even measure? I think there's probably has to be like surrogate measurements first as like indirect observations of psychology, because you can't just say, do you feel psychologically safe in your organization? Because if they didn't, they're not going to be honest, right? Like, it's kind of a weird dichotomy there.
And it's not an HR responsibility. I'm sorry. If people say, oh, let's get the chief people officer to figure this out, it isn't. It's an everybody responsibility. This is all leaders need to come together and figure out. If you're doing an annual employee engagement survey and
Hmm.
you're not sharing finite results and you are not actioning things out, you are not creating a psychologically safe environment.
Hmm.
You're not building trust. You're actually eroding it.
Yeah. We do twice a year engagement surveys every 6 months. We just started doing that a year and a half ago. I do like that. But yes, you sharing the insights and saying, here's our action plan, how we're going to do better. I think that's great transparency. And that is how you build trust. It's fantastic. All right. Next up on Ship It or Skip It, there's this no managers movement where let's just not have any managers. We'll just have a bunch of people. What do you think about this no managers movement?
It's kind of like having an open concept house and no walls in your bathroom, no walls in your bedroom. Everything's willy-nilly. Everything is open. How's that going to work for you?
Uh,
No, you need to have containers to actually manage the work.
uh
Managers make sure the work is done right, and leaders make sure that you're doing the right thing.
uh,
So I do think that there is a place and a space for that. It has to come in differently and it has to be focused on the people aspect more than the work and the end results. So I think there's fine tuning of management and how to do it, how to be a good manager. And part of it is also teaching them how to coach their people and not just give orders and have smart goals and things like that. So I think there's an overhaul required on managing, but I don't think it needs to go away altogether.
mm. Yeah, I think of what's the guy, Lehman. I think he does things for like parenting seminars and stuff. And my wife and I went to one and they gave an illustration, or he gave an illustration about, I don't know if it was an experiment or whatever, but it was kids on a playground and the playground didn't have a fence around it. And when the playground didn't have a fence, the children would kind of hover close to the building, close to the school, and they wouldn't go out and play. But when they put a fence around the playground, they're running around, they're having fun. So when there's that structure, there's those good boundaries and safety, of course. They could flourish and then thrive, and I think that's very true
Yeah,
for employees as well. Not that they're children, but just human nature in general is
right.
that way.
It's also kind of that mantra, players play better when you're keeping score. So there has
Mm,
to be some level of awareness of what good performance looks like. Somebody's keeping the score, helping guide you to get to better performance, understanding your strengths and skills where you need to fine tune. If you don't have that, not everybody is fully motivated and self-aware. That brings up a lot of risk. And that's part of the risk of this hybrid/remote world that we're in, where not everybody is well situated for it, and not all managers can manage well through it.
that was my next ship it or skip it, was remote first leadership training. So where are you on that?
I think it's necessary. I don't think a lot of leaders know how to lead a remote workforce. And pragmatically, we know that remote is here to stay, but it's not fully remote that's here to stay. I do think that the balance of hybrid makes sense if you know how to hone in on it and you start to focus on performance-based measurements. But with that said, I am a diehard cameras on, microphone on gal leader. It's a non-starter for me to have this, oh, I'm not camera ready and, this isn't my best hair day. BS. If you're coming in, you're showing up to the office. You've always showed up. Get your better game on. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for that. And unfortunately, it's true. The majority of our communication comes from audio visual. So if somebody's
Nonverbal.
got their mute button on and you can't see them, How's that working? Like 80% of the communication is not working for you. So then you have a lot of miscommunication, disengagement, redundancy, repetitiveness, all because people are not showing up fully. And so there's a lot around guiding how to change the rules to engage people and to empower the leaders to guide and lead in a more effective way. And part of it is mandating that you have human contact in person in the right way that makes sense,
Mhm.
being thoughtful about it and not being punitive.
Yeah, 'cause let's face it, I mean, the interaction of human beings for thousands, maybe millions of years has been face to face, looking at each other, right? Like that's just how that's how we're wired to be able to do that, to
Exactly.
see that
We need
nonverbal
to
cues.
touch, hear, feel, sometimes even smell a person.
Yeah.
They just put on all this, wonderful perfume or cologne and they're walking in, there's a pep in their step. You want to know what's going on. You look like you're happy. Oh, I just got engaged. Then you pause and you celebrate their happiness and that brings you closer and they're more willing to do something for you because you recognize them as a person. You're meeting them where they are. That's the platinum rule. Treating them as they want to be treated, recognizing that person wants to be hugged, this person wants a handshake, this person wants a wave or a fist pump if that's still being done. It's just different.
You mentioned earlier about, performance reviews. What do you think about the notion of like algorithmic performance reviews?
Algorithmic. Say more. What do you mean by that?
Where, I mean, everything's kind of, it's a formula, right? For performance review, it's very cut and dry. I mean, a lot of folks want that, right? I mean, we're in a society that wants, employees want, I want to know exactly what I have to do. And I think I have a theory that a lot of us are brought up on video games. So we know if I get this many headshots, I get an achievement kind of thing. And I think they want that
Yeah, yeah.
explicit like instructions. Here's how I'm going to get this next thing. Um, what do you think about, setting up all your performance reviews to be very black and white like that?
I don't know that it's black and white. I think it's more informed. So let me unpack that for a second. The reason why a lot of people, employees and managers, don't really love the traditional SMART goals and performance reviews is one, it's annual. It's a burden to collect
Mhm.
artifacts physically. And then you never know, is this going to ruffle feathers? Is this going to smooth things over? Is this going to excite the person? You want to be fair. You want to be firm, but it's labor intensive. So my thought is people are either really good at performance reviews or they're really, really bad at them. And the majority are really bad.
Mhm.
I would say 90% of managers are terrible at it. And so now if you're on the receiving end of that, you're getting a terrible byproduct of, minimal effort or eclectic effort. And now that's supposed to speak for a year's worth of activity. That's no good.
Mhm.
I think now a combination of metrics can start to be derived from the different sources that AI and other tools could provide. So yeah, when people are joining their meetings, their engagement levels in the meetings. By the way, I use a tool called Read AI. In that tool, it actually does an engagement scoring. It reads my body language, my face, my hand expressions, my intonation, all of that, and it scores my body language, and it also gives me my words per minute. It tells me my filler words. It gives me context on my actual dialogue. It looks at my follow-ups. But why aren't we using tools like that to say, hey, Nora Osman committed to these action items. Oh, I see she actually completed them on a regular basis. She's completing her action items and she's building trust with her colleagues and with her manager and with her customers. We have the ability to collect artifacts that are more important that we didn't have the access to that actually speak to how great or how terrible or how mediocre and in the between this person is performing. And yeah, people should be aware because pretty much every meeting is some kind of hybrid web meeting. You do have Copilot and you've got all these other tools joining. So why aren't we creating a movement to figure out what is most important to garner from this and have it all part of this hybrid ongoing performance review. So it shouldn't be once a year. It should be regularly. So
Absolutely.
you know where you are and how you're scoring, and you have the ability to influence that. If you're always coming late to meetings, it knows that. That erodes the trust.
Uh-huh.
If you don't follow up on your promises, that's not good from
Uh-huh.
a customer experience. You know your projects are on time or behind. So I don't want to belabor the point, but I definitely think there's a room and opportunity for it. The how is what needs to be figured out. Not a matter of if, it's the what and the how and the
I
when.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Planting seeds, planting lots of
No,
seeds.
that's cool. Now I'm like thinking about this. Of course, I'm always the how personally. How do I do that? Yeah, and now I'm thinking about that. All right,
The
but we've got to move
technology is
on.
there. Yeah, we gotta think better.
Yeah,
Think out of the box.
yeah, I like that. All right. On to our next segment of the show. That's it for Ship It or Skip It. The next segment of the show, we here at the / like to interview the whole guest, so we get to know you a little better. This is the most important segment of the show. This is our lightning round.
It's time for the lightning round. Rapid fire, don't slow down. Answer quick and make it count. In this game, there's no way out. It's time for the lightning round.
If you've listened to the show, you know all of what we did. That was the warm up. That was all of what we talked about so far. That's kind of the throwaway stuff. That's just to loosen up, get yourself ready. This is the real important stuff. This is what we have. We have a algorithmic performance evaluation for this. We have an algorithm we go through. It's very complicated. It'll take a few weeks to tally up the scores and everything, but we'll get back to you on that. But this is the important
Are
part.
you telling me I'm being reviewed?
Yes, but we're only going to do it once, right?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
But I'm
Definitely want to
you'll
hear about this.
Yeah, you'll get your scores back in a few weeks and let you know how you did. And then, so are you have to make sure you're mentally prepared for this segment of the show. This is the big time. This is like the Super Bowl. Are you ready?
Oh, you're really trying to instill some fear here. The intimidation.
Well, it's important.
I don't know if I
mean?
feel psychologically safe right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I don't know that you should, because these are the hard hitting questions that
right, so
everybody wants to know.
Love surprises. I'm not your typical person that runs the other way. I don't believe anything is concrete or stable or the same all the time. So hit me. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, because this is it. This is the big time. So would you rather have invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
Okay. Are you a dawn or dusk kind of a person?
Dusk.
What's your favorite type of tea?
Chamomile.
Chamomile. Good answer. Well, I don't know. It's an algorithm. I like chamomile.
All right.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
One.
Just one. Is it like a really big cup?
It's right here.
That's a good size.
I would say it's maybe it's a 16 ounce or a 12 ounce.
Is that what Johnny Depp would call a mega pint? You remember that when they were like, "Oh, you poured yourself a mega pint of wine"? He's like, "What?"
Yeah,
Anyway.
I could do without it, honestly. It's not a critical factor in my day. It's just more habit.
Name a word that starts with the letter Q.
West.
Okay. When you fly on a plane, do you wear a neck pillow?
No.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy garlic?
5.
5? It seems very non-committal, you know? I mean, it's good.
It depends on what it's on.
What is your favorite thing to put garlic on?
Garlic bread.
Good cheesy garlic bread. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So this one's usually a very controversial topic. We get a lot of different answers on this. Well, not a lot, 2 different answers on this. But Thanksgiving is coming up, so these are the things that people want to know. How do you feel about cranberries?
Eh.
Okay,
It's a traditional thing. I don't think it makes or breaks anything. If it's missing, I don't think anybody's like, "Oh my God, no cranberry sauce." Whoa.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Now, are you I like the canned jelly cranberry, or do you like the fresh cranberries that are like cooked and all that? What do you like better?
I make everything else, so that's one of the only things that I'm like, that's good enough because it's I'm not gonna waste time boiling cranberries and doing all that fun stuff.
So you just pop the can and right down on the plate, put it on the table.
We're not a big cranberry jelly family, it seems. So nobody really, and I don't know if it's because it's from a can. It tastes pretty good. It's just not really that important because everything else is so delicious. So it's a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I,
can.
I make the world's best lasagna, and yeah, so everybody's waiting to get to that.
Hmm. My kids always argue about who gets the end of the cranberry from the can. We do the can thing too. I don't know why it doesn't taste any different, but they do. They argue. No, I want the end because
And
it's got the
maybe it's
little
got more
ripples.
cranberries because it settles or something. Who
Maybe. I
knows?
don't,
I got to
yeah.
look out for that. I didn't think about that. I might now have to make my own cranberry sauce because you have raised the bar.
I've raised the bar.
I
And
need to
maybe,
figure
maybe
out.
that's the
I need to
key.
figure it
Maybe
out. I need to figure out if I'm missing something, and that's the reason why it's not getting attention.
I will say I have had the full on prepared cranberry kind of situation. I don't think it was executed well when I had it, but I thought to
Mhm.
myself, okay, this is different. This is not just the little jelly stuff. This is a whole new game. I can see myself maybe digging this, but I don't feel like that person, whoever, I don't even remember who it was, but I don't feel like it was executed well. I think you could probably, take it up another notch and it might be.
ChatGPT is going to be hearing from me. Give me the easiest, most delicious cranberry sauce recipe, and it's got to be like no more than 3 ingredients.
I like that. Yep. I think that's fair. All right. If there's a
Mm,
spider in your house, do you kill it or you set it free?
kill it.
Kill it. Okay.
I'm not wasting time grabbing spiders and unleashing them. There's plenty of them out there.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of spiders where you're from?
I mean, it depends on if we don't do a very good job of cleaning. So no, we're not big spider
Big
neighborhoods.
spider people. Okay.
No.
Um, let's see. We'll do a couple more here. Have you ever tasted soap?
Yes.
Now, was that as a punishment? That's what most people say. Like, I washed your
No.
mouth out with soap. You've just accidentally tasted it.
No. I think you sometimes don't wash your hands all the way, and all of a sudden, I'm like, ooh.
All right. All right. Mine was
You had
as
a
a
bar
punishment. Yeah, bar
injected?
of soap. And my parents, like, they didn't mess around. It wasn't like just, put the
Little.
bar of soap on your tongue. No, it was like almost scrape it on your tooth, right? You're going to get some soap in your mouth, kid.
Ugh.
You know what I mean? Like yeah.
Wow. I'd love to hear what you said to deserve that.
Well,
You don't
we'd
even
have to
remember.
change.
All you remember the experience.
That's right. I
It's a different podcast.
I probably don't even remember what those words are anymore. It was such a traumatic experience. So.
See, that's the thing. People won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Mm.
And you don't remember what you said, but you remember how you feel.
Yeah. And I
There you
remember.
go.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. One more. Let's have a bank of questions here. If you had a child, would you want them to be the most popular person in their high school?
No.
Okay. I agree. I think
You want me to tell you why?
Yes, feel free.
Because that means they peaked in high school. And
Mm.
chances are they're going downhill from there. And that is way too early. And it creates all kinds of psychological weirdness. Yeah, no reason for that.
All right. Well, where can we learn more about you? And your website is, what is your website? How do people reach you?
It is getnorvana.com, GETNORVANA.com, or NoraOsman.com. Same thing.
I love the business, the Norvana. I love that. Is it inspired by Nirvana or you probably
It's
can't say that
actually a
legally.
funny story. Do you have time to hear this?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So I was in my office whiteboarding with my team, and I'm getting really passionate, talking about like where we're going, what we're doing. And one of my team members just let me go. I was riffing for a good like 10, 15 minutes. And then he sat back and he crossed his arms. He's like, oh, I know where we're going. I get it. We're going to Nirvana because nobody knows where Nirvana is these days. But where you're taking us, where Nora's taking it, she's definitely taking us to Nirvana. So I'm like, huh? So that was
Fantastic.
coined, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago, believe it or not.
I love
And
it.
it just stayed in the background. Every once in a while, somebody would tease me and, oh, are we going to Nirvana yet? And then they would take it to the next level. And they're like, okay, we're going two by two. We're getting in Nora's arc and we're following the Nora star. I'm like, oh my God,
goodness.
please help me.
Nora's
Put
Ark.
an end to this.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
So I'm like, okay, I didn't pick my name. I did pick who I got married to. So yes, I'm responsible for the NO, being my initials. That's on me. But the other stuff happened to me. So when I decided to go off and start my business, I said, it is quirky as hell. It's funny, but it is about the experience. So yeah, since I don't know where Nirvana is, that's an internal state.
Mhm.
That's everybody else's ambition. At least where we're going is that journey towards customer experience optimization, towards, turning those zero moments into hero moments. So it stuck. My kids rolled their eyes. They hated it. They're like, oh, please, mom, don't
Oh,
do
Mama.
this. I know, like, really? That is just so bad. And I said, listen, it's corny enough. It's going to stick. It's going to be memorable. I love it. And then we had the whole branding. And I said, you know what? I really want to inspire people and I want to transform them. So that's where the O became that light bulb. And
Mhm.
then the butterfly was all about the transformation because the butterfly doesn't know that it's a butterfly. It starts off what? As a caterpillar. It's only when it goes into the cocoon stage that it does all the inner workings to come out and become a butterfly. And then it's a totally different world. So I think the same way for organizations that need to go through that transformation. First, they need to be inspired. Then they need to do the hard work. And then they come out fully transpired and the world is totally different for them.
I love
So
it.
this is all not happenstance. This is all on purpose, but I do feel I was guided and inspired to get there.
Because the guy in your meeting that sat back and folded his arms, I see, we're going to
It's
Nirvana.
honestly, it's the world telling me throughout I'm a good listener. I'm eyes wide open. I'm a very creative design thinking kind of gal. So, every day is a journey. Every interaction with people, it's a moment of truth for me too. Constantly learning and evolving and expecting to get nuggets from different people. And I just string them along and have different outputs because of that.
It's great.
So yeah,
Um,
Nirvana, that's the long version of why.
the
Mhm.
the book, you anticipate Q1 of 2026, and will there be information on your website for that when it comes out?
There will be, for sure. I'm planning to have a landing page. I also write a lot for LinkedIn. So anybody who has a
Mhm.
connection or follows me on LinkedIn, I'm upwards of 6,000 followers now. I had no idea I was getting that many followers. It
Wow.
was kind of a big surprise. I'm like, what? Who are these people? But yeah, if somebody is subscribed to my newsletter or on the website, they will definitely see something on there. And through LinkedIn, I'm sure there will be a big launch and announcement. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today, Nora. It was very enjoyable conversing with
Same
you.
here.
I feel like you did pretty well on the lightning round. I don't know,
Thank you.
but I feel like you did a pretty good job.
Well, I can't wait to hear how it's graded.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I have
I
no
think you
idea.
need to have harder questions. I think the questions were a little bit light, though. Seriously.
Yeah,
I
all
do
right.
this lightning round, it's just a one question to ice break
Mhm.
at events when I'm moderating. And I ask them, I come up with a question, usually the same day. And it's things like, if you wanted to have a superpower that you don't have right now, to be a superhero, what would that superpower be? Last time I asked people, what did you want to be when you grew up? It's
Mm.
the human type of questions that people don't anticipate getting asked when they're sitting on a panel on stage. But it really changes the mode. So it's kind of that mini lightning round.
And it helps them calm down a little bit too. And it settles people's nerves when they
For
can
sure.
just
And
talk
it
about something
also
chill.
helps them be remembered
Mhm.
by the audience. People talk to each other about these questions
Mhm.
later. It's really good. Thank you, James. This has been amazing.
This has been fantastic. Thank you for coming on the show. And if you'd like to get in touch with us here at the /, drop us a line at the / at calibrity.com. See you next time. The / podcast is created by Calibrity. The / team is director and producer Ryan Wilson, editing by Steve Baradelli, marketing support by Taylor Blessing, and I'm your host, James Carman. Thanks for listening.